is Passe Partout.
Good morning, I'm Renee Allen, and of course, I thank you for joining us. Let's head to St. Mary Parish, where 4 young men are in custody after Baldwin police say they broke into a home, and this was yesterday. Take a look at this. This is what was confiscated. 18-year-old Tyrell Randall, 19-year-old Tydrick Fleming, 19-year-old Cameron Hawkins, and 19-year-old Jacob Holcomb were each charged with simple burglary, contributing to juveniles, and gambling in public. Holcomb also faces drug charges and had a warrant out of Houston. Baldwin police say luckily no one was home when the group broke in and no one was injured. We're told there was also a juvenile reportedly involved too. Well, last week the U.S. Supreme Court put the case of the state's congressional map back in the hands of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The map was passed with just one of the 6 districts being majority-minority population, despite the state's population being more than 30% black. News 10's Rodrika Taylor spoke to the president of the NAACP Lafayette branch after the decision was made. He believes the decision is a success for democracy.
We're excited. I'm excited with the court's ruling and look forward to the Fifth Circuit's ruling, and then Louisiana legislature getting down to the business of really putting forth another seat for African Americans within our congressional district.
Bravis Martinez, the president of the NAACP, says now that the United States Supreme Court put the case of the state's congressional map back in the hands of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, it will allow for there to be representation for all voters.
This is a victory for democracy because we know that fairness and representation are important for all citizens and all communities. The ruling today just justifies that and shows that even here in Louisiana we can make those moves too.
He says the 2020 census data showed there needs to be another congressional seat for equal representation of black voters.
In the state of Louisiana, African Americans represent roughly 1/3 of the population, yet currently we only have 1 congressional seat. That's a majority-minority district.
Following the court's decision on Alabama's map, Louisiana has the potential to have 2 majority black districts.
This is definitely a great day in Louisiana as we move the needle in representation, ensuring that everybody votes counts. And that's an important tenet of the Constitution, an important tenet of our state. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Rodrika Taylor, KLFY News 10.
Martinez is encouraging people to reach out to their House of Representatives if they have any questions or concerns about any of that. So let's go to Acadia Parish, where an Esther Wood woman has been found. This is months after she went missing. Esther Wood police turned to the public for help 2 months ago after 34-year-old Amber Faith Longley was last seen, and that was in Lake Charles. Then in Avoyelles Parish, a body has been recovered in the Red River yesterday afternoon around 2 o'clock. Someone called 911 and said there was a possible drowning victim. Officials responded in search of the body of a Hispanic male swimmer reported missing there. Now, his body was found in the water, we're told, just before 5 p.m. yesterday. A manner of death and the victim's identity is still under investigation on this. A Jeanneret family looking for answers this morning after a loved one was shot and killed in front of his home. News 10's Dr. D'Amico spoke with the family who wants to know why he was killed.
Sharita Gordon, the mother of slain 25-year-old Sharante Hopes, is calling for justice after the recent loss of her son.
He wasn't bothering nobody. They were sitting in their car, minding their own business, and he go in the house, and next thing you know, they done jump on him, and all that took place with the shooting situation.
At around 4 o'clock on June 16th, a shooting took place in Jeanneret, just off of Peach Street, taking the life of Sharante Hopes and injuring another. His mother, Sharita Gordon, says she was not home when it happened. She said she noticed something was off when she saw police heading to Jeanneret.
My sister had just said something must have went on up in Jeanneret. The police busting the Jeanneret. And soon as she said it, my phone rang.
It was the mother of Sharante's child calling about what just happened.
And I thought she was just joking, and when I got down here and I found out from my aunt that it really was the truth, that he was dead, it was bad after that.
Because of what happened to Hopes, his loved ones are asking for what they believe is right to prevent Sharante's life from being in vain.
Justice needs to be served, because you put right where I go. You don't come in nobody's yard and be bigoted and think you just gonna walk scot-free.
In Jeanerette, Dawson D'Amico, KLFY, News 10.
A mother's fight, right? So far, 18-year-old Jeremy Smith Jr. has been arrested for first-degree murder. Jeanerette police are asking for the public's help on this and locating 19-year-old Jason Joe Jr. in connection with Hope's murder as well. So, Doosan police recovered nearly $4,000 worth of methamphetamines during a traffic stop. Officers stopped 34-year-old Joshua Tolar on his motorcycle after he ran a stop sign. The motorcycle also displayed a stolen license plate, and that's when Tolar admitted he had meth in his backpack. He was booked into the Lafayette Parish Jail for drug charges and outstanding warrants. So, the King Cutters hosted a food drive this past week. The food collected that day will head to Second Harvest so it can be given out. King Cutters sales manager explains that with this recent heat we've been dealing with, it's all the more important to help tackle food insecurity.
The heat is hard on everyone, and especially when you don't have enough food to eat and to punish your bodies. And so this is a very important occasion for everybody in Acadiana, and we hope that everybody will come out and support this cause. It's very important to Acadiana, it's very important to us, the Cane Cutters, and very important to Goya Foods, who is sponsoring this whole event.
Yeah, and talking about the heat, the Faith House of Acadiana, a domestic violence crisis center and shelter, is now facing a crisis of its own when it comes to this lingering heat. The facility is currently without air conditioning, and they're asking for your help to get the cooling system back up and running. The cooling issues are in the resident and common areas and staff offices, we're learning. Development coordinator Ella Wolf says that they're trying to make it work, but the costs are not currently in the budget.
We've gotten creative with all sorts of fans and portable air conditions, window units. We're trying to make it work, but we've also spent a lot of money on that. And the repairs, the cost keeps climbing, and this wasn't really in our budget at all for unexpected AC repairs. So that's where we're facing the difficulties. Acadiana and our surrounding areas, the community has always been great to us. That is kind of what keeps us going, and that's why we're reaching out to see what we can make happen together.
Yes, with this heat, that help is needed. Faith House has set up a campaign to help with the cost of repairs. Now, if you'd like to donate, you can go to our website. We have some information on there for you. That's KLFY.com. So the National Weather Service has issued a flash drought notice for much of Louisiana and Texas. This as drought conditions create many setbacks for farmers. News 10's Zhang Hoke spoke to a farmer right here in Acadiana who says the results will be catastrophic if the dry conditions just continue on and continue on.
With rising temperatures and warnings of a drought across Acadiana, farmers like Stacy Onslett are having a hard time simply maintaining their land and livestock.
Yeah, with the heat and everything else, besides the heat, the drought. We need rain to make the grass grow. I mean, you can see right here in the horse field. You know, we normally make hay right here, but I mean, it's so dry. We need rain.
Onslett says the conditions have made it impossible for the grass to grow throughout his fields, meaning the cattle have no food. As a result, Onslett is using his supply of hay almost 6 months too early.
We don't really start feeding hay till in December. We're feeding hay right now. Like it's the winter time, our winter stock, we're having to feed it because we want to let our cattle go down. If the mama don't get no nutrients, it don't go to the milk and it don't go to the baby, and the baby don't grow. It's very, very terrible what's going on right now.
Canals along the farmland are drying out for the first time, causing the need to pump water from neighboring rice fields, costing the farms both resources and money.
We're just having to keep pumping in the rice fields. Normally you pump and you water holes, we get some little rains and it's and that. It helps. It's digging in our pockets because we're having to keep pump because we lose an inch of water a day. And all these animals are affected, the heat. They got to stay under the shade. They can't go and graze except for at night. It's hurting all the way around.
As farmers continue to push through the harsh conditions and resources grow scarce, Anselé says they're down to their only option.
Pray. Pray for rain. Slow rains. Not no gully washers, what we call that, Nobody can fix it with Mother Nature. So we just hurry up and wait. And the animals are going to sure enjoy it because they're hot.
In rain, I'm Zane Hogue for KLFY News 10.
He's right about that. No one can fix it but Mother Nature. So a record number of Americans are expected to travel for the long holiday weekend. Here's how people are getting to their destinations.